Hey everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery, and I'm sorry, but I actually dropped my glasses on the ground. So today we are here for our Sunday chat, and of course it is 11 a.m. in Melbourne, but most of you in other countries do watch me back at a later date, which is more than fine. So anyway, today I'm going to start to get into a little bit of a talk about how we're actually going to be doing some things and how we can actually learn and start to formulate a little bit better, for everything that we need to do, because formulating is so important. That is actually a part of the soap business, and it's a part of learning to be within the soap business. So when I started this, I actually knew, I'm going to be honest, nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. I honestly knew nothing in this business. So, you can learn. And the thing is too, when you just get the recipe straight away or someone tells you really easily, you're not sort of going to learn too much from that. So I always say, just try and, do your own research as well. So even if I tell you tips and tricks, still do your own due diligence or your own research, because that's how you actually learn. And when I started, the best tip I can give anybody actually is totally go on YouTube and constantly research. Just watch hundreds of videos. That's how I learned. Hello, Debbie. Welcome, my love, to 11 a.m. Sunday chat. So today we're going to be talking about, the soap business, like how you sort of grow in it, formulating and so on. Because, any business at the start, of course, you just want to start a business because you're trying to make a living for yourself. But as you get on, you kind of want to grow and, educate yourself and learn a lot. And, I've learned so much in this industry. And a bit of a disclaimer, I definitely do not know everything. There's many things I don't know. I still watch people like Tara Lee. I still watch Humblebee and Me, because they teach you so much, just about different products as well, like especially when you're making lotions and those kind of things. Those people are really, really informative, and they've been doing it for a long time. If you're in Australia, a really good one to follow is Soy and Shay. She is really good too. She gives away lots of tips and tricks, and some things that she talks about, like she was talking about once about essential oil and how she makes her own lavender one and so on. And I was actually amazed how much lavender you need for a tiny little bit of oil. So, you can learn from so many people as you go along. Now, I'm going to put my glasses on because if someone writes a comment, me trying to see it is pretty low because I'm going to be 50 soon, so I'm blind. But anyway, so now I'm going to just go along on my list. As most of you know, I've got a few lists here, and I kept asking people, what am I going to say on here? But anyway, this is what a few people came up with. Hi, Karen. Good morning, lovely. Welcome to Sunday Chat. Good morning, Michelle. I hope your poor little arm is getting better. I know you've had a sore arm for a long time. And I want to give a shout out to a lady, Crystal, that contacted me through Instagram. Hi, lovely, and good luck on your journey, because I know that she's starting on this journey, and I really hope she's in the US, so I hope that she does really, really well. My fingers are crossed for you. Oh, it is, Michelle. I'm so glad for you, love. I really am, because I know I damaged my arm as a child, and even to this day, I still have issues with it. So I get it. So now let's kind of start. As I've said, we're going to learn along the way as we go along, because that is really important. Look, I'm going to bang on this drum again, and everyone's going to cry when I say it, but social media is going to be your friend to succeed. It really is. And it's free. It's free, everyone. You need to find free avenues. Because, I said this in another video, and I'm sure I shocked a lot of people, but there is companies out there spending $500,000 or more a month on advertising. So the chance of you getting up to, competing on the same page as them is slim. I mean, it's slim. Honestly, us getting to the front page, unless they type my name directly in, is still going to be slim. So, it's really important to, on Instagram and things like that, to show people. Hi, Joe. Welcome, my love, to Sunday Chat. And I like your little face that's upside down. That's a bit funny in your message. So, yeah, it's very hard to compete with the big players. But we don't need to do that, everyone. Hi, Leanne. Welcome, lovely. We don't need to compete with them. The one thing we want to do is we just want to show that our presence is there, because you just never know who's going to click on your name. And as I've said before, when I started this, I really thought nobody would click on me. I honestly, with even YouTube, I thought, who's going to watch me? I'm just someone small from the suburbs. Like, no one's going to watch an Aussie with an Aussie accent. And I really thought that. But then one of my daughters, my youngest daughter, Annie, she said, Mum, you'd just be amazed. Hey, everyone watches social media. And anyway, so then I thought, well, I'll give it a go. And she was the one that used to film me at the start. And when you see somebody holding the soap with those beautiful nails, that is my daughter Annie. So a bit of a shout out to Annie. She sometimes watches me from her room. So, you know, that's the thing, everyone. Ask your kids. I mean, they are so smart. They are so clicked on. If you're older, ask grandchildren or whatever. They are really clicked on to, you know, social media, and they just bam, 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 and they can do it, you know. Even my grandson, who's 3, on an iPad, he can find his way everywhere on an iPad. It's amazing. So, yeah, so that's the one thing, everybody, that I say, you know, you do need social media. You cannot do this without social media unless you're going to just sell at a market. If you want to just sell at a market, well, maybe then that's fine, because people will find you there. But it's still, look, you know, this is my opinion. If you want to be successful and you want to make money out of this, number 1, you need a website. Number 2, you need social media. They're definitely the 2 that you have to have. Hi, Debbie. How are you, my love? And I hope those crying tears on there are not because I said the word social media. Yeah, Joe, you're right. And, you know, we do need social media. You know, that's the thing. And I know a lot of people say, well, I'm older. I don't really know about it. I don't understand it. You know, I did not understand. I'd never been on TikTok until my younger daughter said, no, Mum, we've got to do this. And she actually helped me. So don't just think, well, they're just kids and write them off. They're actually very clever. They are so clicked on, and they are the next generation. And, you know, so we need them. Yeah, Debbie, that's right. Yeah, that's just, you know, it's one of those things. Anyway, so tap into your kids, everyone, and ask them to help you out, because number 1, they will feel so proud to help their mum or dad or cousin, or, you know, whether you're the grandma or grandpa or whatever. They will be so proud to help you. Even if you don't have kids, ask the kid next door, you know, someone else's child that you're friendly with. Like, just ask them, do you know about social media? Can you show me how to do it? You know, like, I'm sure you've got a friend that has a child or something in your life. So anyway, that's my suggestion, is number 1, to succeed, that's what you need. But today is more about the formulating side. So number 3 is, you know, formulation. Now let's talk about this and learning. Oh, hi, Amanda. How are you? Oh, you're in bed already. It's probably nighttime over there. I know it's like 11 hours or more difference in the US and Canada. So I know you're opposite times to us. And, you know, look, I'm going to be honest. I got out of bed late today because yesterday I was filming all day, and I've been trying to do a long video of the week of filming most days, which will be like an hour or so. Lots of people have said they wanted a really long video. So I thought, well, I'll just do one, because that's very hard to do it in between all the different videos and whatever I'm up to at the moment. But anyway, that one will be coming out later. Now, when we're talking about formulating, I've written a bit of a list on, you know, my suggestions from the start to the end, because there's no good starting and saying, I'm brand new, I don't know anything, I'm going to make a lotion. No, I definitely suggest you don't do that first. That is one of the harder things to make and to understand. And I really think if I had tried to make that at the start, I would have given up, because, you know, there's a lot of things to understand, like preservatives, temperature, you know, the time you whip things, you know, timing, patience. There's just a lot to understand when you're making a lotion, a hand cream, you know, a body butter that's emulsified. They're things that you kind of need to learn as you go along. So if you're newer to starting, I definitely suggest that you start with soap making. I know lots of people are going to go, oh my goodness, it's sodium hydroxide, but once you respect the sodium hydroxide and understand that side, soap making is actually quite easy. It's really like baking a cake. I mean, you know, you just mix up your sodium hydroxide and letting that cool. Then you got all your oils and fats and you put it all together, and basically you're just going to whip it. I mean, really. I mean, yes, there is more to it, but soap making in very small portions is not that hard. So that would be my suggestion, is research soap making and start with that first. And do remember, you can formulate that as well. Oh, hi, Kim. Welcome, darling. Welcome to Sunday Chat. So yeah, so when we're talking about formulating, even with soap making, start with a basic recipe. So to make soap, I mean, you can just start with olive oil and sodium hydroxide. You don't need anything else. You know, you can start as simple as that. And, you know, when I started, I got a recipe, I think it was from Royalty Soap, was the first one I made. And that was really good because it wasn't a hard recipe. It was only a couple ingredients. And then from there, I thought, no, that kind of didn't suit me. And it was a good recipe to learn, but I wanted something a little bit like really moisturizing with lots of shea butters and things like that. And I wanted to understand that side. And I think the recipe I used from them originally had palm oil. And I wanted to kind of go away from palm oil because there's so much controversy about it. I'm not going to give my opinion either way, but I just think there's just a lot of controversy. And in Australia, a lot of people don't want it. So that's why I decided to go away from that. And then that was when I had to learn to formulate. And if anyone hasn't seen this lady, she's an Australian lady but has a lot of subscribers, and her name is Ali Everyday. And Ali is really good no matter what country you're in, because she actually will explain how soap calc works. And that's, you know, if you're going to formulate soap, you need to go on, it's called soapcalc.net. And basically you just put in your oils and it will tell you how much oils and how much everything else you need. But she was really good at explaining that very, very clearly. So she really was a big start of my journey to soap making, because she actually helped me understand the process of soap making. And that's the thing, there's no good making it you don't understand it, because then your product's going to be no good. And once I understood that and understood, you know, that coconut was more drying and shea butter will make it more creamy and so on, then I thought, okay, now I can actually create my recipe. And I used to think, oh, well, sunflower oils or rice bran oil was just, you know, cheap oil to put in and people just trying to make the product cheap. But it's not. They're in small portions, they do different things. Like, you know, rice bran helps lather the soap more and so on. So, you know, you sort of play around with your recipe and learn as well. Have I got a t-shirt in Melbourne? Yes, I have. I know it's cold, love. I thought, what's that question? Yes, I do have a t-shirt on in Melbourne. And I know everyone else will be in a jumper, but I'm in my studio and it is heated. So it does have a heating system in here. So it gets, and now no one laughed, but I have it set for about 25 degrees. So it does get warm in here. So yeah, no, I have it set. So that's why I've got a t-shirt. But yeah, so with formulating, just learn all of that and sort of understand what you want from soap making, you know. So I would actually start by writing, you know, I want a creamy soap, or if you want, you know, a soap that's, you might want more of an exfoliating soap, you know, so you might want to put different products like poppy seeds or whatever you're going to put in it to make that happen. So, and there's different products that you can get as well to do like more exfoliating ones for feet and so on. So that's what I say, like, learn a little bit from all these different people. But like I said, Ali Everyday I find very, very helpful. So check her out. She's on YouTube. She has lots of followers, and you can sort of go through her library of different things that she talks about. And she's really good to talk about understanding soap, because I think there's a lot of videos, you know, you kind of, when I used to watch them, I was scared to make soap because they go, oh, it's so dangerous and everything. And it is very dangerous, sodium hydroxide. But if you respect that product and understand how to use it, you will be fine. And always wearing gloves is absolute key, because you can easily burn your hand. And I know it just looks like water, but it's not. The hydroxide is what, you know, you clean toilets and everything else with. But you need to make sure the sodium hydroxide is one that is made for soap making, because the ones that clean drains and everything else, they actually have additives in them and you can't use them for soap making. So do make sure it says on the bottle soap making. And if you're in Australia, the best one to do is you can just go to Bunnings, our local hardware store, and there's one that says, it's a red and white one, and it says soap making in bold letters on it. So that doesn't have the additives that Drano and things have in it. But anyway, so that's the bit with soap making. And for me, my journey led me, pushed me more towards Deluxe Shea, which they make unrefined shea butter, which is processed in Ghana from the girls over there. And there is a video about that if you want to understand how shea actually comes to be. So I've actually done one on that. So watch that and you'll be able to understand that a little bit more. And you might want to go down the avenue of using products that are more like fair trade. Are they certified? Because they are good selling points for you to sell your product. And, I always say you need a hero, and that's a hero product. Hello, Jen. Welcome, lovely. So your hero product, like for me, it's the Deluxe Shea because it's an organic shea and it's certified, and they've gone through a lot of process to get that, and there's a lot of work to be certified. And it's also fair trade, meaning that those women, they actually get paid to pick the nuts, and then they actually get paid again to actually make the shea butter. So it's really important to understand that. And people think it's this massive nut that makes it, but it's not. It's what's inside the nut which actually makes the shea. Good morning, Lynn. Welcome, darling, to Sunday Chat. If you've missed anything at the start, I'm sure that you can catch up, you won't mind. But you can listen to us and see what we've got to blab on about today. So now, that is for that. Now, like I said, so we're going from easiest to hardest. So I definitely suggest the soap making and a basic one, and then go from that. And then from there, if you want to make whip soap, it is so easy. There are so many bases around. You can make your own whipped soap recipe. The best one for that is on Etsy, called DIY, DIY Soap Whip, I think. And you've got to buy it. And once you buy it, which I've bought it, but I've never made it, to be honest, from her. I've actually bought that recipe, but you are not allowed to share that recipe with anyone. It's a part of the contract. You have to agree that you will not share that recipe or anything else, because it's a paid recipe and she has the patent on it. So that's really important to understand if you're going to use that. But there is other ones as well on Whole Elise actually has one on there. So, and it's free. You can go on there on YouTube and get it from Whole Elise. And I think in that she's made like a whipped soap. It's like a whipped scrub actually, but if you just take the sugar content and that out of it, then you've got the soap whip in it. So basically that's what it is. But myself, mostly I use a soap whip base, because the price is not that much difference when you work out your labor, your time and everything else. Not that much for me. So I just prefer to do it that way. And then of course I add in my jojoba oils, my fragrances, scrubs, and whatever else you want to add in. So you still need to understand that. But if you want to start with something that's not that hard, and do a small bit, because many people over whip it, and then what happens if you over whipped whip soap, it actually can shrink in the jar. So the jar might be this full and then it goes to this full because you've over whipped it, and what happens is it's too aerated and then it just goes flat. So don't whip it for very long, everyone. I have lots of questions on that all the time. So yeah, and the one I use is the Heirloom whip base, if anyone wants to know. There's two different ones, a Stevenson, and if you're in Australia, there's one called Heirloom, and that's the company Heirloom. They actually, it's called Heirloom Body Care, and they actually make their own. And these names that I give you, everyone, I'm not affiliated. I don't get paid from any of these people or anything like that. I just tell you ones that I think are good. And even when you see videos when I'm collaborating with people, I don't actually get paid money. Sometimes they'll send me something, and if I like it, I'll collaborate. But I do say no to some collaborations, just so that you all know. I don't, I won't do a video if I don't believe in the product. So, and there has been a couple last week that I've said no to. So, and it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they're not aligning with what I believe or like. So now, and then the third one I will talk about is candle making. So candle making is a science. A lot of people think that they can just buy the wax, pour it in, and then, they can make their own candle. But it's not that easy. It's really hard. You've got to get the right wick. You've got to get, the right wax. You've got to understand the temperature. Some waxes don't hold as much fragrance as others. And getting those perfect tops are really, really hard. So that's what I suggest is, put candle making third on your list and play around with the fragrance numbers, the load. So a lot of them will say 10% or whatever it is, but I only ever use 9%. But the fragrances I use are much more expensive. They're a luxe brand because most of them are from Pure Candle Supplies. And if you're putting essential oils in your candles, everyone, you have to be careful because some of those can actually be deadly to animals. So it's really important to understand that. I do not add, essential oils and things like that unless they're in a product already. So the ones I get from Pure Candle Supplies have content of essential oils in them. So, that's their luxe brand, but it's coming from an actual supplier. These have been tested. So you can't just go and chuck in your own thing. It may not work. So that is really important to understand. And not all essential oils will work with all products. Like I made a lotion I was practicing the other day and I used a jasmine essential oil in it. I thought I'll reformulate this. And when I reformulated it, it ended up being a big headache because it actually separated, the water separated from the oil base on it. So it did not like this jasmine essential oil. And sometimes that just happens. It's a part of it. So anyway, that's a part of formulating as well. And then bath bomb making, I'd put on almost the end of the list because bath bombs are actually very hard to make. And, look, lots of problems happen. I had many of my bath bombs expanding. I put too much water in or I didn't put enough and then they went powdery. Shower steamers are pretty easy, but they can go, really powdery or not harden up if you've got too much water. And you have to look into using the menthol flakes, everybody, because some insurances will not cover it. Mine does not cover it. That's why I don't put them in my shower steamers. And, most people that buy mine or all of them, I've never had a complaint, said they actually really like that it's just essential oils. They know it's not as strong, but they just want that scent and so on. So, so anyway, you got to look into all of those things. And that is a part of formulating. So even if you get my recipe, no matter what recipe I give you online, do remember that your environment and, whether your humidity is different, whether it's a bath bomb, a shower steamer, a soap, whatever, that all plays with humidity. So, do look into all of those kind of things and understand that. And now I'll talk about lotions because I've had a few questions lately about that. Lotions would be the last thing I would make, or body butters that are emulsified, because that's hard. You can make body butters without emulsifying, but when we do emulsifying, it means that it's got your water content, and then you need to add things like vitamin E to stop it oxidizing because that's a part of what happens. And also, also what you need to do as well as that is your preservative. And most people are scared of preservatives. You don't need to be scared, but you do need to test it. And I said this in a video that I don't know whether I bought this video out yet, but my son-in-law is a barber and he has tested, I think, 60 different batches and still not sold one. I think you don't need to do that many, but, he wants to get it right because he wants to sell it on a large scale. So that's the thing, testing is key. And with lotion, so what you do is you might say, okay, I'm going to have 16% emulsifying wax, which is what makes it thicker and binds the two together. Or, if that doesn't work, then you might say, okay, now I'm going to try 14% of that and, up my shea or lower my shea or up my oil. And that is all a part of formulating. And then you need to write down, on an exercise book or a computer, whatever you want to do, you need to write down all about what you found with that lotion and how it's working. So don't think, with the lotion that you just go, I'm just going to use that recipe and that's it. Often you'll need to, most people, no matter who they are going to find a basic recipe and then they'll make it their own as time goes on. Hello, Iris. Welcome, darling, to Sunday Chat. So that is the thing, formulating and understanding, what something does is really important. And I never made lotion before because I didn't really understand the emulsifying side of it until I did a lot more digging, a lot more research. And if you want to watch anyone, once you understand a little bit more, Humble Bee and Me is very good. But if you're a beginner, I think it will go over your head and you won't understand a lot. The same as Tara Lee. She's very good to talk about formulating, but you need to understand a little bit about products before you watch those people, because I really think they're more an advanced kind of thing. Like, of course you can learn from them 100%, but they do talk about the products and a little bit about the benefits and understanding it and how to formulate and so on. So they are better at talking about formulating than me, because I don't have that experience that they have. And I did get asked during the week, you know, whether I had done like a formal training in this or not. And no, I did not do that. I pretty much just taught myself. I started this as a hobby. That's all I was going to do. And I just thought a hobby. I never even thought I'd do YouTube, not for a second. And then anyway, I was doing it, and my daughter said, oh, look, you should just put something on YouTube and see. And I put it on, and then what happened was I actually was just decorating soaps, and my first video was like a minute or something. And then I thought, oh, I'll make something else, and then I put it on there, and then I just didn't come back for months because I thought, oh, who's going to watch me? And what actually happened was I think I had like two views on YouTube. And then I thought, oh, maybe someone does want to watch me. Why would 2 people even watch me? And I could see that they'd watched the whole video. That was only for a minute or 2 minutes. And then my daughter said, put a couple on, Mum, you never know. So then I made a plan. Okay, my plan was to do this for a year. If I get anyone that watches me, I'll keep going. And to my surprise, within a year, there was a couple thousand that has subscribed and watched me. And now I don't know what I have, millions of minutes watched, it says. So that's the thing, everyone. You just don't know where this is going to lead you. And I know we're talking about formulating and, you know, soap business and so on. But that's the thing, everyone. Don't never say never, because you don't know. And I never thought that. And now I also wanted to talk about, while we're talking about formulating and everything else, as most of you know, I did talk about Christmas coming up. And I know Christmas is 6 months away, but if you're a soap maker, you need to start to think about making soap, because what actually happens, so if you make it in June, it might be ready in, say, July, August. And really a lot of people for soap making, if you're selling wholesale, people will start buying it on the 1st of September. They'll start buying soap making products for their store. They'll start ordering the wholesale. Because once it gets to November, a lot of people, they still order, but they want to really order before that, because people start buying before that. That's why in the shops, late August, early September, you'll see the shops starting to get Christmas things. So, and now I'll talk about how I do that. Now, nobody laughed, but this little picture, if you can see this here, all this is a piece of cardboard paper. So it's just cardboard, and I printed this out of my printer. This is actually my backdrop to my Christmas images. And when I actually take my professional pictures, lots of people say to me, oh, they're so professional. They're all done with a piece of paper. That's all it is, and an iPhone. So I just get my iPhone. I put my iPhone, if you go into the settings, it can be like a square. And then that's what I do, is I put the square on and I zoom in really close. 2.5 is the closeness I go on the settings. And then I zoom in really close and take the picture. So you do not need all of these really fancy backdrops. I know there's lots of videos on these fancy backdrops and everything. And yes, they are amazing. And one day I probably will get them. But if you're starting and you don't have a lot of money, you can literally print out a piece on a piece of paper, stick it to your kitchen wall, put a white piece on the bottom, and there is your photo done and ready to go. And then you can edit it in Canva or any of these programs. If you have Adobe, you can do that, but I don't pay for Adobe anymore, so I just pay for Canva. But there is free versions of Canva as well, and you can still edit your image with the free version. You just can't take the background away. But so I just thought I would add that in while we're talking about formulating, because, you know, once you've formulated, once you've made your recipe, once you understand the butters, you know, your butters to your oils, to all the additives that you're going to add to create your own, you know, unique product, then of course you need to take the photos, because you're not going to make any money with no photos. And photos are key, everybody. So and think of another way of doing something. So like, I know what we do is we all watch, YouTube, or we'll watch another person making something, and then we'll go, oh yeah, they've wrapped it in shrink wrap. That's a great idea. I'll do that. And I've done it too. But then as you go along, you might go, actually, and I actually went to my local supermarket and I seen some soap wrapped in paper, and I thought, that looks so nice. And it's just wrapped in paper, so it doesn't really matter what the inside is. People are literally going to pick it up, smell it, and that's it, and that's how they buy it. So maybe you even want to wrap it up. I mean, I've got some soap behind me that is just wrapped up, so now I wrap it up. And the cheapest way to actually get the wrapping paper that I've done is if you go on Vistaprint and you print it as a flyer on standard paper, then that works out to be about, I think, 9 cents per one, and each soap that I have fits into an A5 size. But if you don't have that, and if I don't have one that someone's ordered, because I don't have all of the wrapping yet, I actually just print it on my printer and wrap it up. So I'll show you when I printed. So this is one that I printed, if you can kind of see that. It's like a fruity kind of design, and then I put my sticker with all the labels on the back. So you can do something like that as well, everybody. So, don't think that you can't. And like I said, that's a standard paper. That's like, your A4 paper, whatever it is, costs 2 cents a sheet or something like that. And then, of course, the printing. But, if you're doing heaps of them, obviously you want to get them printed professionally. So, but anyway, I thought I'll add that bit in because, like I said, photography is important. And, the way I sell my products, honestly, is the photos, because when I first started, my photos weren't really that good, but I've learned, and this is another thing too, like, as I was saying about going onto YouTube learning, go and watch, how to take photos with an iPhone, or how to take photos with a phone, or a basic camera. So they will all teach you those things as well. But as I said, this is more about the formulating and understanding that. So, and also when you're using shea butter, there are certain temperatures that you really shouldn't go over, because if you heat it up, it can be grainy and things like that. So that's a part of formulating too, understanding the temperatures of each individual product. And, so for instance, coconut oil compared to shea or cocoa will be a different melting point. So you need to understand that, because you don't want to just put them on the boil and melt them super hard. But anyway, like I said, look into formulations and slowly change your formulation. So if you make a soap and you feel it's not creamy enough, then add a product in it that's going to make it more creamy. And, this is the thing too. When I started, I had a lot of shea butter in mine, and then I had to change it. And over time, I've altered it, because putting so much shea butter, yes, makes it creamy and so on, but it also makes the bar, waste out faster as well, whereas coconut sort of keeps it longer, but coconut's more drying. So you kind of got to add in those different elements, and then you might have to up your oil, your olive oil, and, down the coconut oil or whatever. But, all of these things are all about testing and formulating, especially when we're talking about soap. So, because soap is, one of those things that is really important. And when you're using like heaps of shea or cocoa, that's very expensive. So a bar like this could cost you $7 to make if you're using huge high shea or cocoa butter. But if you lower it, you'll be able to make something like this for $2.50 or whatever it's going to be if you're buying in bulk. And, obviously, look, let's be honest here. No one's going to pay $15 for this bar of soap. They're just not. So you've got to work out your cost as well when you're formulating. The cost is so important because, especially for myself doing wholesale, like I said, no one's going to pay $15 for this. So work out that cost and understand, the cost and what you're going to put in the product, and is it going to benefit the product? There's no good saying I've got 200 grams of jojoba oil, but it's not going to be any benefit to it. Like you wouldn't put heaps of jojoba oil in a shower steamer, because there's no benefit. It's just going down the drain. They're not even putting it on their skin at all. So that's important. And for anyone making shower steamers with the menthol crystals, you really need to read up about those menthol crystals. They are actually deemed very dangerous. So, I mean, yes, they're safe in a shower steamer, but you know, you need to understand how much you can put in and everything else. And I was reading it saying, you know, it shouldn't be on the skin and so on. Well, the problem is you've got them on the ground and then they're going down the drain. So, but your feet are on the water. So then they are going on the water. So I just think you could easily have somebody, you know, that could hurt their feet while that goes down the drain. So that's another reason why I won't be using them. It's just, I don't know. It's a really tricky thing with those. So they're things that you need to look in. Don't just say, well, everyone else is making them with menthol, so I'm going to do it too. Do look into that side when you're formulating it. You have to think of everyone has different skin, and some people are super sensitive as well. So when you're doing it, please make sure you always put something like this in red on it, like some sort of thing on it that says, you know, like on mine, it says, if redness or irritation occurs, rinse immediately with cool water. You know, you might have to say things like, do not eat, for external use only, avoid eyes. They're things that you need to put on packaging as well. And that is all a part of, as I said, formulating. So you need to understand formulating. And if I had have formulated a lot of things at the start, you know, I don't think I would have understood. So I think using someone's recipe at the start is a good idea, because they've probably used it quite some time. But, you know, as I say, you've got to do your due diligence. I often have people saying, you know, that they had tried a recipe and it hadn't worked or something. And I always say, you know, look into your humidity, do look into your environment, you know, when you've added it, the temperatures of when you've added it. Did you add anything else at the same time? Like, all of these things can actually change the outcome of the end. And that is what formulation is, understanding that kind of side. So anyway, I hope this has been somewhat helpful to lots of you today. And I really do hope that, like I said, it's been helpful, and that sort of side of the formulation, you can practice a little bit yourself, watch lots of videos on it, and see how you're going to go with formulating your own products, because that's the fun bit, isn't it? Making your products really unique and a little bit different, but at the same time doing it in a safe way. There is no good making this without formulating, because if somebody ever complained about your product and it was looked into, they would say, well, why have you put so much of this in compared to this? So you would definitely be asked. They'd be asking you, well, why wasn't there warning labels on it? You know, did you test it? And you have to have some sort of proof that you've tested it. So that is really important as well. Oh, that's good, Debbie. I'm glad that it was really helpful, my love. I really am, because I know lots of us want to make our own things, but formulating can be scary when you don't know enough. So as I said, you know, I didn't have formal training. I've just helped myself. Thanks, Joe. All right, everyone, I will get going and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.